Hello, hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today I'm going to do sort of a flip through of my journal. This is my Poe journal I kept for myself. I did add a few other things or some different things. So there is a variation in what you've already seen. But I thought I would add in as well how to price a journal. I saw Junk Journal with Joy doing that recently on one of her journals. So I went through all of my pricing and I thought I would point out the things that I wrote down on my sheet and help you figure out yourself how you might want to do this. Thank you, everyone, for coming to visit. I hope this gives you a little insight and inspiration into how to go about pricing your journals, and it's a personal thing how you want to do it. She was saying how if you were very popular and there was a demand for your work, that you could probably price higher. If you do really nice work and eye appealing work, that it may be higher. It just depended. So I wanted to point this out. On my spine, I used this rose, and that one was different than the other ones. They had like a flat lace on here, but I had ran out of it, so I had to find another one to put on mine. So I thought that worked with the Gothic theme. And, I've got the corners on both the front and the back pages. And we'll go over the cover first because I've got a key here with a bulb hook attaching it to this braid. I had this on mine that nobody else had. It was just like, I only had a couple of them. It says Haunted Memory. And then there's one of these quotes on here. There is a die cut of a bird, and this is a little piece of ephemera. And then I die cut a frame. And this lace was like a little head shawl kind of thing. It's like a triangular piece. And I cut that out to be the background of all the four journals. There is another little piece here that's a frame that I made with the braid on top. The brads were gold. They were really, really, really bright gold. And I didn't want them to be that color, so I dipped them in foundry wax. So that is another thing. I've got a miscellaneous section over here because, how do you price your glue, your fabric tack? There was markers used to blacken the edges so you didn't see the chipboard underneath. I sanded that down as well and used, like I said, the markers. And I've also got things in here like ink and where I dyed pages. I mentioned the foundry wax. And there's some alcohol ink on something in here. This has a little foundry wax as well. So those are the things that are hard to price, but that is part of your money because you spent it. Now, the base papers here, there's like one on the outside, one on the inside. And then I used one of the strips for the back. And then this lace went over top of it just so it wasn't bare. I've also got a little piece of material in here that is part of the holding the hingey part of it, because this was 3 pieces, front, back, and then the spine. And I use, Mod Podge. I didn't even put Mod Podge on there. You use some of that. So all of these little penny ante things will add up over time. And so you almost have to lump that at the end after you figure out your main things. And I know I've forgotten things in here as well. So as you can see, I've used some more chipboard and more paper back here to cover the hidden spine. And then you had, see, I mentioned everything on the front. And then, like with the base papers, I was going to mention that. So I have a book that I got from Hobby Lobby. It was $21.49 for the whole thing. I got it on sale at the 40% off because it was the Paper Studio. So that took $8.59 off of it. So when I subtracted the $8.59 from the total price, it came to $12.90. Then you divide how many sheets that you had in the whole album or paper pad, and that made each sheet 7 cents. So that's how I came about that math. I know some of you don't like math. So I used two of the base papers because one's on the front and then one's on the inside. So 2 times 7 is 14. So 14 cents for just those 2 papers alone. And then the ribbon on the spine back here, it was 90 cents. The metal corners, they were $2.15. The braided trim right here, $1.50. There's the lace and the paper die cuts, and let's see, yeah, they were like, I think I put them at $2. The brads were included in that. And then the little metal quote was $1.50. Now, I forgot to add this. This was not on the other ones, though. This was only on mine. So, and the key. The key was only on mine as well. But it has a bulb hook, as you know, attaching it. So that would be items you would have to add as well. And then you get on the inside. There's more of these base papers, I call them, because I have 2 here. And I must have had more on back in here because I had a total of 6. There's also pages in here that are a heavier. Now, I didn't even add this. This was like a CD pocket. I didn't include this little piece. I forgot to include this in the die cuts. I only mentioned the flowers. This was like a die cut of lace. So there's things like that that you just, you know, you have to add in, and I just totally forgot. Now, I have all of these things, you know, accounted for. The little flippy pieces like this, I think they were accounted for because they were part of like a 12 by 12, and these were scraps. So that's what we have there. And of course you can see this is why it's mine, because this was a little off and I didn't want to sell that to somebody else, you know. I didn't include the cheesecloth that I had. So that's another item that has to be accounted for. And then all of these were like little scraps. So I don't even think I put those down. No, I didn't. I didn't put the clusters down. So see, you'll find things as you go along that you did not add. Now, all of the laces on the edge over here, I've got dangles and bulb hooks and all that kind of thing. And then what laces I may have used inside to decorate some of the pockets and such. That's all over here. So I've got that accounted for with the dangles, the bulb hooks, the charms, etc. So I did have, this was a lace I believe I got at Dollar Tree. I had to try to find as many black laces as I could, which was not easy. There are some of my own papers in here. Now I only added the copy paper part of it, which that would have been, the whole pack of copy paper was $5.77. There was 500. You divide that out, you get about 1 cent per page. So I had 3, so that's 3 cents for the 3 that's in here. Then you have other papers that's in here from Dark Academia, like this. It's almost like a cardstock size sheet, and it's thicker. And I think I had about 7 of those in here. That pad I got for $5 at Michael's, and it had 48 pages. So you divide that out, it's about 10 cents a piece. And there was 7 of them, so that made 70 cents. And in here somewhere I have backdrops, which is part of the Tim Holtz items. I had about 14 of those in here, so those added up. I had also some freebies here. As you can see, these pockets I made out of stuff from Chestita. But, you know, I mean, somebody had to pay for them along the line, so that's something you could add into your price. I mean, like if you have a clearance item you find and you get a really good deal on it, you know, I didn't bother putting the clearance price because that was my luck and my skill. I used to coupon. That came about where I got that for a cheaper price. So I went ahead and used the full price. In some cases, I forgot to do that. So my pricing on my items are not that low. All right, there's a feather in here. He's one of those things that's hard to get in and out. But it's a little feather tucked in that vellum pocket. And then this slid over, the coin slid over. There's a pocket here that has the bells. I guess that's a poem by Mr. Poe. And Then I have a pocket back here. I think I even forgot to add in the page where I copied off the liniment and such. Yeah, so you're always going to forget something. This was a scrap, so that was accounted for already from my base papers. And then I have over here, I think everything here is accounted for. This is more of my papers. I used acrylic paint to dye these, along with coffee and tea. Now here's some of the die-cut flowers. They were added into the miscellaneous part down here. But like I mentioned, I forgot to add any of the lace and that kind of thing. So there we go with that. And these papers were what they call a presentation paper. I got them at Walmart because when I did copy paper and I copied on both sides, you could see through it because of the thinness. It's only like 20 pound, I think, for regular copy paper. So I got presentation paper, which is a little bit thicker. And I also got it where it was premium bright. So, and it's 24 pounds. So it was just thick enough, but not too thick to make it really bulky, to be able to see beautifully, you know, the die, not the die, the digital that the creator made for My Porch Prints. And I'll tell you what, that black was soaking in on these black splot marks and anything black on here. Boy, I'll tell you, it took a lot of ink. So that's another thing you have to add up. And I added that up at the end, but I still don't know if I added enough for ink. And you can see how it really did nicely. You do not see any, like especially that big black mark there, you don't see it. Or these splotches, you don't see it. So that turned out really nice. Now, here was lace that I had in my own stash for years. Got it from Walmart long ago, probably when I worked in the fabric department. And I think it came off a spool of lace. It was just a little short gathered lace, and I went ahead and used it. I hadn't used it for anything else. Now this was some more papers that I had from a paper pad. I think it was a black and white paper pad. Hadn't used it for years, so I added that into the paper from the Dark Academia. I just included that as the same price. I believe they were both from Michael's as well. Here was a couple pieces from Chestita. This was like scrap paper and something she must have bought for a kit. And then I have my little book. Let's see. This is like my little Poe Journal card. And then that's my bookmark. And then you have his letter or his poem, Ukulele. I think. I've never read that one, so I wasn't really sure what it was about. Now, I've got lace all through this thing, and I might even add more to mine. So, now another thing I did not add. All of those videos I've done where I've showed you stuff, ephemera I'm making to put in here, I did not add any of that. Like this. This paper was a, let me look. It was from this, the White Heavy Stock by Tim Holtz. It's like 10 sheets in here. And I think I must have turned it sideways and got maybe 3 or 2. I think only 2 on each one. So that would have been 8. You would do $8.49 divided by 10, which that should be 84 cents. 85, you round up. 85 times, or divided, 85 plus 85, because I used 2, because I did 4 of these all together, equals 170 cents, and then I divided that by 4, right? So 42 cents for the paper alone for this. I don't know if you saw how I did that, but you take the total price, which is $8.49. You divide by how many pages is in there. It made it 85 cents because you round up. So I used 2 pages, so 85 and 85 made it $1.70. And then you take that and you divide it by 4 books. And so I got 42 or 45. It's 42.5, so you can round up to 43. cents each. Okay. That's the only time I'm going to do that. I won't bore you with all that calculation. But there is so much printing in here. Like I inked that, so you have ink prices. You have, you know, the shading ink. You might have sprays. It's so much. And then I used some crayon. This was scrap, so I don't really have to include that. So it's a lot. It's a lot to think about, guys. You might want to make a simpler one, which I'm going to do that soon. Now, this is like the last thing I think I made. It was the burial procedure, or I think that's how I called it. The burial procedure. So this was the undertaker and embalmer. Then the minister, it didn't have anything for minister or reverend. It had a spirit merchant. So I thought, that'll fit. So that's who this guy is. And then someone digging in the grave. Did not have grave digger or anybody like that. So that's what I did there. But I really liked how that turned out. You know, this paper that I used in the back that I'm going to have to try to make more of that paper. Now, this was an announcement. This was part of the backdrops that I had paper-wise from Tim Holtz. And I thought I'd rather have made it flat like this and maybe like a grave shape, and I'd decorate the outside of a grave. And I probably will do that at another time, maybe next year, or if I do some more early Halloween journals. I did not include this paper clip because this paper clip I got at the Dollar Tree. So I think there was maybe 10 in the package. So at that point, so it's probably 10 cents. Yeah. And then we have the pretty digital here. Here is another one. That's the other side that really sucked up that black. Look how bold and deep that is. Usually you would have like a shadow in there. But this presentation, or premium, is premium white. Really did well. Here was a few other things. Now, I had another kit that I used that was Gothic in the Belfry. And there's a few pieces in here from that. So this is one of them. So, and then this is a piece from Chestita. And so is this. And these are like just like journal cards that you can open up and write in. And this, I think she's some kind of a witch. I'm not sure. I guess that's what she is. And then I had been doing some of my own papers along the way. So, yeah, I have like, oh, I didn't even include heat embossing because I got embossing powder on these pieces in here. So there's another element to add. And then we have a few things here. This was just a coin pocket. And I also didn't add in when I made these little guys. I made these out of like a piece of paper pad, you know, kind of cardstock weight. It's not very thick. And then I have ink included in that. So, yeah. A lot to think about, isn't it, everybody? And then I dyed this cheesecloth here. So I used ink on that. I used a marker or ink of some type on this, on these bugs. And yeah, it just continues to go on and on. Got a bulb hook there with another charm. I think I included that. I got the spooky guy there on this side. This cheesecloth just didn't do quite like what I wanted. I wanted it to be straight out, but every time you tuck something in, it wants to take it with it. So it never worked. Now these candles, I didn't include them as well. So I used it was many and many a year ago. And then I had this here so you could see the skeleton. He's like a journal card. And over here, I don't think I showed it in these other ones, but there was actually something in, I think I showed it on the third one, but there's actually a little card in there that you could write on. And this here, this die cut, I don't think I included it. And I'm bad. I had some of this black paper. No, this was an index card I dyed. You know, that was part of your pricing, which I didn't include. And There we go. This was my apothecary witch lady, and I decided to make a belly band in mine and hook her in there because she was kind of thick when she was laying this way because of the bulk of this and this wanting to stick out. So I turned her this way, which is a little thinner on the inside of your signatures. So that worked out just right. I included a descent into the maelstrom and the black cat over here. I think I glued her on a little crooked, so it was a little wider at the bottom. That was hurting my eye. You know, it's going to hurt my eye. And here's this little page with the condemned inside and tuck spot, and then her little chimney. And then it has the pockets in here with a couple little goodies in them. I kind of like how that turned out. And then it tucks right under here. This is just the strip off of my index card I just showed you. So that was just a spare piece. I didn't have to include a price for that. Well, I didn't for the index card at all. Here's my Poe for the second signature. Yeah. So this is what all is in here. Now I got this paper at Hobby Lobby. And I got 2 papers of it. And I thought it looked really gothic. So what I did is I cut it in half. Both papers I cut in half. And then I divided the price up into 4. So that's how I came out with that. Is it on here? Yeah. I didn't include how much it was. It was a 12 by 12. So each piece was cut in like 6. But this is not the full piece. All you're seeing is this part right here. So, I was able to make that piece of paper work a lot for me. Now, I never did include these, but I think these were the papers from the backdrops, as you can see. There's something on the back of there. Because they were two-sided, and I thought they were perfect to put these definitions on. The superstitions is what these are. And so, yeah. Here's more of those papers. Here's a second one. Now, each one of the kits, the books, got 2 of these. This one and the other skeleton I just showed you. So, there was actually 2 in here. I don't know if I included that in my price either. This is like a Rita Donnelly flip that you're able to pull up, and I had to make these little guys to go on it, and then these 2 tucked behind there. This is just a double journal card to write in. And I also had envelopes. I showed you the CD envelope at the beginning up there. Well, I didn't include that in the pricing. This is for a blackbird definition or superstition. But I also had this really big windowed piece here that I used. And I just put scraps on it. And so I really didn't have to add any extra money. And of course the envelope is like a freebie. That's got a big crow on it. So that was something that didn't need to be added. But all these little tabs and things you use, you really need to add that in because that's part of your paper. Unless it was already accounted for. And of course, I have other things in here like the ring fastener. I must have another ring fastener in here somewhere because I included that in my pricing. That was 32 cents. The magnets that was back here, I forgot to mention them for this. There's a magnet in here. But there's another magnet somewhere else, I believe. Well, they were $1. Maybe I don't have another set. And the little transparent moth, I forgot to mention him as well. He's way back here somewhere. Where was he? Well, mine didn't have a moth, but the other ones did. Right here. So this is for their pricing. But the little moth was 50 cents. And let's see what else. Okay. Flower deco. Okay. Making sure I got everything accounted for. Now I like this because it frames this. But you also can flip it this way and it frames him. I love that. And then this is a upside down tuck. And it's got that little spooky thing in it. So put that in here. And see if I can move this over a little bit. And then these are part of the Poe pages here. And I put them all on that premium cardstock where it's the 24 pound. So, and then I had some of my own papers. I did not add the texture paste. I used texture paste on the back of here. And I did not include that either. And there's more of that little spider web netting. This is a flip out. And it's just got a journal card inside. But I also did some mica spraying on the other side here. And then I also have some stamping in here. You know, all of that you have to think about. Now this envelope, that little baby took up some ink as well because it was so dark. I'm a lover of cats. So I had to have this one for mine. And this is the one that also has a magnet. So I don't know if I included all the magnets. I also didn't put anything in my pocket. So there was another cost. And here is one of my little dangles. I liked it because it was red. And this flat lace, I really loved it. Now, some of these papers that I dyed myself took a little bit of intensive work because this one you had to wrinkle it up. You had to dip it in the tea bath. You had to wrinkle it back up again, and then you kind of like either sprayed or dabbed it with all these multiple colors you wanted to have in it. And then you had to let it dry. So, and then this one was easy. It was on a hot deck. So you see the wood grain. But yeah, I mean, that's part of your labor. Now this was made out of scraps here, this side tuck, double side tuck. But, you know, I had some ephemera pieces on here. And all of these, I believe I accounted for all of these. These are from Tracy's Gothic in the Belfry. And I put them mostly on a heavier cardstock. But they cost about, I think, 16 cents altogether for all the ones that I used. At least I hope that was right. Sometimes you get confused. This is a superstitious definition for black. And then I had, this is one of my trims that was inside, and I had to include that. I also had this paper here. It's like a wood grain black, and I sprayed it, and then I cut out the word wicked. So you sometimes have to add a little bit extra at the end to account for all of these extra things. Now this is I call it my Two-Face. I know I had a video on this so you could see how to do it. It was just something really easy. You can use a flower, you can use a bird, you can use anything you want. It's just that I like this because it was, what do you call that, where it's the same on both sides basically. So I'm putting it shut and you can see the whole skeleton there. But when you open it, I used like a lost shadow or something in here to make it pale, but you could still see it. And then I stamped all over the background. That was a really good video because I showed a masking technique and how to stamp all that. And then you could write on the back. It was still a journal card of sorts. And then we have the back side of all these pages. Now this, now that has an eyelet in it. Yeah, an eyelet. And so I had to use that. That was like a little piece of something that I bought a long time ago, and I pounded it out so it was like a flower. But these were all scraps here, so really there was no cost. I did dye this. It didn't turn out black like I wanted. It turned out gray, but it went good with this page. But that was also cost with using your ink. This here was the button page. Now I have the miscellaneous section I had 2 packs of buttons. So when I divided them up, it was like $1 each for each one of these side tucks that I made. And then I've got a little dangle on here. This was an extra piece that was like, I don't know, I think it was a scrap piece from where I cut on it before. So these became like little additions, and I just put a bunch of stuff that was scrap and things from Chestita, and yeah, just things to decorate it. So it was kind of different. Some of them had pockets. I think some of the other ones, I made pockets on them, so they were also useful. And then here is this. This was a little frame that I got a while back, and I cut out a spider from the Pink Monarch prints and cut it down to where it fit in that little frame. And then I actually alcohol inked the outside of the frame. So that's another small addition of money, as well as these little bulb clips are. And then I used glossy accents inside of that, which I did not include in my pricing. So, you know, I really went into detail. I know, I wanted to go into detail with these things really badly and really make them pop. There was another piece of Velcro. I didn't add that Velcro. I mean, not Velcro. Vellum. I did not add this vellum either. The other vellum, I think I'm coming up to soon. It was like a whole page. But this one, I ripped up and got the black flowers off of it. Oh, I'm telling you. And then here's a little pocket with a journal card with an ink well. And then here was a few more pieces back here. This, of course, is another envelope that I purchased. I don't know, it was an older one, so you would probably put a few cents up to 10 cents on it, because I also dyed it and I sprayed it or something to get it into the mood. Here's another one of the edges, which I really like this edge since it was flat. And then I die cut here so you could see Poe. Here's another one of my treated pages that I made myself. And here was, I don't know if this is a scrap. It looks like a little wider than it should be to be from a 12 by 12. So I may not have accounted for that as well. And then we have a little pocket I made over here with a little Poe jar in it. And then over here I've got a crow and a bat. And just a few little gewgaw decorations. Here we have a bat in here with a ticket stub. And some more Tracy Fox's Gothic in the Belfry. Yeah, here we go. This is the vellum that I did account for, because it basically was a large page and I just ripped the edges off of it. So this one has my second cluster that I made, and there's like little dangles here that are coming off of it. I think I accounted for them. And then there's lots of cheesecloth and things there. Over here I have a pocket made out of a scrap and some stuff that I got for free, and another one of my definitions. So, and that kind of tucks right in there. Yeah, and I like this because you can kind of see through it either way, but it adds to it because it's got the gold on it. Now here is my moon pocket, which about everybody liked. And this was a letter that Poe wrote to some lady, because he's got Dear Madam at the top. And of course these are, I sprayed these with mica spray, and I added all kinds of stuff to this page, and I really liked how the moon turned out. Everybody liked the moon. And then I showed you this was a piece of my paper towel, and I have some texture paste on it as well, which wasn't accounted for, or this little piece. Okay. So, you know, at the end, you're really going to have to cushion your pricing. You really are. Now this, I like this little window because you can see that little skeleton. These were all strips of scrap here, so I didn't have to worry about accounting for them. But this was an envelope. Then this is a pocket. It has apothecary or something there. And then it has this here, which is like a double journal card. And it opens like that, and you can write in it. I think that's in other places on the other journals. This was a scrap of that little spider lace, so I added that there. Yeah, this was another thing I didn't account for. These die cuts with the foil. I didn't include the foil paper either. So, yeah, my bad. So here are these. I loved how these looked. I didn't have any more of the crosses left because I'd had those from a while back. But they did fit into the theme because these are supposed to be caskets. I've also got washi back in here. Can you see it? Certain pages I added washi to strengthen them. Oh, especially when they were like 2 pages put together. See, this page was put onto this page because they were one-sided, and I didn't want that white to be showing, and that's how I usually will do those. I'll just back them onto each other. This was a page I did a bunch of more embossing with, so there was more embossing powder that was used. This was a pocket that you could see this through it, and I didn't like it. So I covered it with this and made it a pocket. This was my own paper that I made from stuff I had collected over the years. This was the cover piece for that Superstitious Dictionary Superstitions. So I used it. Everybody loved this. This went, I don't know what happened, but this went crazy. Everybody loved it. Now, these little things are in one of my windows and doors packages. I could have thinned that down because you can cut and peel off all this excess paper and chipboard behind it and make it thinner. But yeah, they love this, and the stamping and everything goes on it. And then there were some people that said they weren't crazy about the inside. Well, you didn't have to do it like I did it. It didn't turn out like I had envisioned. I wanted you to be able to write in here, but it kind of goes with the theme. And then I've got this inside here, and nothing's holding that shut. I think just the weight of it. And inside of here, I have one of these little moths, which I didn't include. And it's something you can write on the back of. Yeah, I didn't color that on the back. I should have, though. Let's see. I'm trying to think how that came out. Oh, that's something I didn't take care of. Now, with these medicine bags, you have to look where they're sealed together because, see, there's a little piece here that dangles out where the 2 bag pieces are coming together. So I'm going to add this right here. And I'll tell you, no matter how many times you flip through your journal, you're going to forever see something that you have missed. So now, there we go. See how much easier that flows down in there? I was going down the wrong path. Yeah. All right. So there's another little dangle there. Free to fly. This was part of that cover for the Superstitions, but it didn't go over far enough for my 8.5 by 11 or whatever page, so I added this Tamerlane. That was one of Poe's, I guess, poems is what it was considered. Now this is a little flip out. It comes out like that, and you can pull this out. Now this, I wish it was in a place where candles were, but I think it didn't quite work out with mine. So this has a little phrase from the Black Cat back here. And my little hangman is here with some spider webs. And then I've got the Black Cat down here on this little black velvet trim. And then it just goes back in there like that. And it also has a little card inside, which this one has the word coffin and shiver. And it was just a bunch of little scraps that I had left over. And then this has skeleton heads on it. I think some of the other ones turned out a little differently. So, like I said, I never really make the same thing twice. This is the other side of that page where I did all that heat embossing. So there's a whole lot more here. This is one of his letters or poems. And then I think this is the other side with, it's just like in there for you know, looks. And then this is something from Chesty. I forgot to do the back side inking. And I thought that was bats, but they're not. That is maybe a crow. So maybe it's a bunch of crows on Halloween night. And I think this one is not in anybody else's. This is just something oh no, this is, yeah. The other ones, oh no, this is the second one. So you've got a double pocket. This is one of those double-sided side tucks. So I should have put something in that second one there, and I didn't. But I made it on Poe. Like there's arsenic and poison and apothecary, and I got the crow down here. So, yeah. That was a bonus for me. Now, this is one of the definitions, but I needed another pocket, so I just used it for a pocket, which that was fine. Here's the other side, that vellum. And this could be written on. I've got a little kitty cat over here in this pocket, and I think it was just one of those little plain journal cards that was in the kit. It was supposed to have been put into something, and I just used it for here. Here's another one of my candles I cut out. Now this was a more expensive lace here because it's got lots of beading and rhinestones on it. Now here was my coffin card. A lot of people enjoyed this. I have some heat embossing on it as well. I did not include this in any pricing either. I've got some craft cardstock on here as well for you to be able to write on it. And let's see what else we got. This is a pocket back here. It's got like a skeleton and like a clock. I don't know what the clock had to do with the Poe kit, but it's like a wristwatch type of thing. Here's a pocket here, and then there's one of those drug definition or drug advertisements down below. And then we have the eyelets and stuff that's included on here were used here to hold these. I also had little beads I didn't include. There's a big snap, and I did use that on here. There's also something in this pocket, and I just kind of glued that over top of this other one that didn't have much of anything on it that I could tell. So that goes here, and this is my bone catcher. I got the idea of a dream catcher, and this stamp with the skeleton and this stamp with this spider webby looking thing was on the same, and then this was on there as well. So all three of these were from that same stamp set, and I really liked how that turned out. And then that's it. So there was certain things that I was going to mention. Like I said, the glue, you went through a lot of glue and fabric tack. There's markers, there's sanding that was done. I have a little sanding disc and a bigger one back here. The chipboard wouldn't really be priceable, but you did take your time to cut it out and glue it all together. The dyes for the copy papers, the inks, the foundry wax, the alcohol inks, all of those things need to be accounted for. And then you have things like the ink itself. So I have a Canon TR 7520. And when I go to Walmart, I can buy, it takes 5 colors for mine. There's a big black, a smaller black, a blue, a cyan, a magenta, and a yellow. So that's $59 for those 5. And I think that's the cheapest way I can get it, because I can get it at Staples as well for like $20 a piece. So depending on where I got that ink, it's like in the middle there. I know I went through at least one, if not almost 2, of the $59 cartridges. So I just estimated it at $80, but it was probably more. So that was like $20 a piece. Now, in my rough estimate, and you heard everything that I didn't include, I got about $32 or $33 before the ink. So that was like 50 something after the ink. But then, It was a lot more in this, I tell you. It was hard to keep track because you're wanting to like make. So, okay. I ended up charging $170 for these because the next part comes about with your time and effort. Fussy cutting, that's paint on your hands. Lots of fussy cutting was involved in cutting out of all the tags and pockets and things like that. Then, the glue is probably your next big spend, because you used a lot of glues of some type in this and the papers. So yeah, I ended up estimating it to be about $80 altogether. Even after the 52.46, I still don't think that's right. Because I did a lot of, clearance things on this, which you should like put the full price. Don't put the clearance price, put the full price and divide down from there, because that was your skill in getting it for a less price, so that's your cut. But I hope this helped you out. I know it's hard to do, and it might be easier to start out small and see where to go from there. But I mean, these are journals. This is a 3-inch spine journal. I'm telling you, it's big. So that is a lot of work, getting it to go together, making it harmonious, making everything work together, getting the colors to match. That's part of your skill. So, if it's a well made journal and all of that happens and it's very eye appealing, and you should charge for it. I mean, really. And then if you think you're not going to get your money's worth out of it, I probably will keep some in a box here at the house and then try to sell it online. Because where I'm selling it down at the shop, not always, people are going to want to buy it for that. They just don't know what they are. So, all right. Well, I'm going to get off here now and let you think about all this and see where to go from there. But don't hesitate to start out with a price list, and you're going to cover everything that's used on your cover pages, all your papers inside, then if you're using laces or metals or anything like that, include all of those. And then miscellaneous things like the ring fastener and the magnets and like a moth or something, a snap, buttons, any of that, your die cuts. Maybe, your die cut machine is a tool, but you still need to add a little bit of money probably into that, because that's wear and tear on your tools. So I think that is also probably a necessary thing to use in the pricing. All right, all my subscribers and viewers, I really appreciate you coming by. Let me know what you think about all this. Let me know what you think about the pricing that I use for the 170 price. And let me know if you think it was well worth it. All right, thank you so much. Everybody take care. Have a nice day. This is Halloween. Enjoy your night. Happy Halloween. Bye-bye.